everyone, and thank you for taking the time to listen to this professional learning presentation. Today I will discuss how teachers can support students with dyslexia in a Year 5 classroom by using evidence-based strategies that build positive relationships and support classroom behaviour. Students with dyslexia often experience ongoing difficulty when reading and spelling, which can lead to frustration and avoidance of literacy tasks. These challenges can sometimes appear as disengagement, low confidence, or reluctance to participate in reading activities. In this presentation, I will demonstrate an evidence-based strategy called structured literacy instruction, explain how it supports inclusive education, and provide suggestions for working collaboratively with parents and caregivers. Dyslexia is a specific learning disorder that affects the way individuals process written language. Students with dyslexia may have difficulty recognizing letter-sound relationships, decoding unfamiliar words, and reading fluently. In a Year 5 classroom, where students are expected to read longer texts and work independently, these difficulties can become more noticeable. Students may avoid reading tasks, rush through written work, or appear disengaged during literacy lessons. Often, these behaviours are linked to frustration and a lack of confidence rather than a lack of ability. Building positive teacher-student relationships is therefore essential. When students feel supported and safe in the classroom, they are more willing to attempt challenging learning tasks. Research from the International Dyslexia Association highlights the importance of explicit and structured teaching approaches to support students with dyslexia. An effective evidence-based strategy for supporting students with dyslexia is structured literacy instructions. Structured literacy involves explicitly teaching students how words work by breaking them into smaller parts, such as syllables, prefixes, suffixes, and letter patterns. Teachers model decoding strategies and guide students through reading tasks step by step. This approach helps students understand how to tackle unfamiliar words instead of feeling overwhelmed by complex texts. It also reduces frustration and supports positive classroom behaviour because students feel more capable and supported. According to the International Dyslexia Association, structured literacy instructions is one of the most effective approaches for improving reading outcomes for students with dyslexia. I will now demonstrate how this strategy could be used in a Year 5 classroom. In this example, the teacher supports a student when reading a challenging word from a science text. Okay, let's look at a word together. Sometimes when we see long words, it looks a little bit tricky, but that's okay because we have some strategies in place to make it easier for us. The word we're going to be looking at together is evaporation. So what we're going to do is we're going to break the word into smaller chunks. Now I have a sheet here. So we can break evaporation into 5 smaller chunks, which are evaporation. Breaking the word into chunks help our brains read it step by step instead of all at once. Let's try reading the word together now. So, evaporation. Great, I really liked how you used the strategy just then. Now, let's try and add it into a sentence. So we can say, evaporation happens when water turns into gas. Let's say the sentence together now while still using the chunking for the word evaporation. So let's go, evaporation happens when water turns into gas. Great. Now let's try and say the sentence all together without the chunking. You can go, evaporation happens when water turns into gas. Great. You used the chunking strategy really well just then, and we helped our minds by turning a long, tricky word into something that our brain could understand. Remember, when you ever see a long or unfamiliar word, you can break it into smaller parts, look for sounds you recognise, and read it slowly. The more we practice this strategy, the easier reading will become. In Australia, teachers have a legal responsibility to support students with disabilities through inclusive teaching practices. The Disability Discrimination Act 1992 and the Disability Standards for Education 2005 require schools to provide reasonable adjustments so that students with disabilities have the same opportunities and choices in their education as their peers. Structured literacy strategies help remove barriers to learning by providing clear and supportive instructions. This allows students with dyslexia to access the curriculum in a predictable and safe learning environment. Although structured literacy is particularly effective for students with dyslexia, it also benefits many other learners in the classroom. Explicit teaching strategies help struggling readers, students learning English as an additional language, and those who require additional support with vocabulary and comprehension. By breaking learning into clear and manageable steps, teachers create an inclusive learning environment that supports the success of all students. Collaboration with parents and caregivers is essential when supporting students with dyslexia. Teachers can share strategies used in the classroom, such as breaking words into syllables or practicing decoding skills. Encouraging short and positive reading activities at home can reinforce these strategies. It is also important to maintain supportive communication and focus on the student's progress and strengths. Setting small and achievable goals together can help students build confidence and experience success in their learning. In conclusion, students with dyslexia may experience difficulties with reading that can affect both learning and classroom behaviour. By using structured literacy strategies and building positive teacher-student relationships, teachers can create predictable and supportive learning environments that reduce frustration and increase engagement. When teachers also collaborate with parents and caregivers, students receive consistent support both at school and at home, helping them develop confidence and succeed in their learning. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation today.